Okay, I'd like to take the next few minutes to talk about something that I normally do not talk about during the BMW workshop, and that is innovation. The reason why I don't talk about innovation is that usually when I deliver the BMW workshop, I assume that people have a product or a service already, and I assume that their product or service has a clear target market and that it is of sufficient quality for them to survive in the marketplace. But I thought I'd spend a few minutes to talk about innovation because there are a lot of people who will be watching this video and who will have no product or no service that they can deliver. So it's important to talk about innovation and explain how this process works, this process of creating new value, new products, new solutions, new services. Now this is my personal method, so you might want to adapt it and modify it to fit your personality, to fit your strengths, your talents, your situation, whatever. But this is basically the process that I follow to create products and services that are new. First of all, I highly recommend that you get the books by Edward de Bono. He wrote I think around 30 books, and I read all of them, fascinated by the process that he uses to generate creativity. For him, creativity is a skill, and I can tell you that most people who have gone through the educational system up to university have not been taught how to be creative, how to generate ideas, and that is one of the major reasons why people are struggling financially. They are too dependent on the employer. They cannot independently create value, and the reason why they can't create value is that they don't know how to generate ideas. So when you read a book by Edward de Bono, for example, Lateral Thinking or the 6 Thinking Hats, you will have the tools and the concrete practical processes to help you to generate ideas, because once again, if you can't generate ideas, you cannot create value, and if you cannot create value, you cannot be valuable to clients or employers, and therefore there is a ceiling on how much money you can earn. So tip number one, or phase number one, or step number one, read books by Edward de Bono and master this skill called creativity, because all value and all money and all wealth comes from creativity. Step number two, it's not enough to generate ideas. You've got to generate ideas that respond to a specific need of specific people. So need means that you've got to figure out, by exploring, by reading, by interviewing, by talking to people, you've got to determine what it is that people need, because it's too easy for inventors and idea people to come up with ideas and products and services that do not fulfill a need. So don't try to create a need. Find a need that people have and then satisfy it. Fulfill that need. How? By proposing a particular approach or solution to that need. And of course, by stressing the benefits of your approach or solution to the clients. And that is how you sell. You also have to be competitive and compare your prices, your features, your benefits to those of the competition. So that's the second phase, the need for research, or the needs research. The third phase is about market research. It's not enough to respond to a need. You've got to find a market where all the buyers are congregating, where they are getting together, so that it's easy for you to serve them, because they're all hanging around, so to speak, in one place. So when you look at these three important critical phases, what you have is innovation. Innovation is the result of all these activities. The next phase is also important. It's where you create a prototype for your product or services. A prototype is basically an early version of your product or service, and you test that prototype in the real marketplace with the real people who are putting real money on the table. And throughout this whole process, you've got to have what I call a new product process, because it's not enough to create just one product. You've got to keep innovating and keep creating more and more products, and you use you can create your own NPP, new product process, your own NPP framework or methodology to help you to innovate. And finally, you've got to have a marketing strategy. You've got to know who you're targeting. You've got to know how you're going to serve them, where's the place where your products and services will be delivered, at what price. You've got to know how to promote your product, and you've got to brand your product. So this is normally referred to as the 4 P's of marketing. So if you pick up any textbook on marketing, you're going to recognize right away the 4 P's: the product, the price, the promotion, and the place. The place can be just the way that you channel your products or your services to the client. It doesn't have to be a physical place. So there you have it. This is basically an overview of the innovation process. There are many books that you can read about how to innovate, but in today's high-speed internet age, the important thing is really to create a prototype as soon as possible and get it into the hands of your customers and ask them for a price and get it moving as quickly as possible. Innovation is not something that you do alone in your basement hoping to create the next big thing. No, just keep doing it. Make it a reflex. In other words, make innovation a mentality, a mindset, a reflex that you have, something that you do naturally. So if you have an idea, just implement it as soon as possible. Some experts call it speed of implementation. If you have an idea, implement it the same day, and then you get the results, and then you know what's what. You know that you've done your reality check. You don't, if you have an idea, don't just talk about it. Don't write it down. Yeah, write it down, document it, but just let it out. Just throw that idea out there and create a prototype and throw it to all the customers that you know, all the people that you know, and ask them for their feedback. That is the easiest way to do innovation. I think that's probably the major difference in the way that innovation is done, because today you have access to tons of people over the internet. So just throw them the product features, or actually send them a product prototype and ask them for feedback. That is what is called co-creation. You don't have to be alone and create a product. Throw something that is not totally finished and ask feedback from people who are in your target market, and allow them to co-create the solution with you. If you allow them to co-create the solution, you dramatically reduce the risk that you're mistargeting your efforts. Because basically, if the customer is co-creating it with you, it means that he is getting exactly what he wants. So use early clients as a quality inspection mechanism. In other words, if you're developing a product in the wrong direction, they will tell you right away. But you've got to first establish a foundation of trust. You've got to establish a dialogue, frank dialogue, very candid, and tell them and ask them bluntly what they think or how they would like this product or this service to work, and then follow their advice.